Vision Australia.
Blindness,
low vision,
Opportunity.
This is one of my favourite topics, is helping kids and young people and families understand why it's really important to have opportunities for work experience while you're still a child or while you're still a young person before you go out into the big wide world. But maybe if you could just give a couple of your thoughts about why it's important for us as service providers to be emphasising that message with the families that we're working with.
We have to convey that message to the families with whom we are working. We have to say that. We have to say, my expectation is that one day, assuming you want a job, that you will have a job, but you're going to have to work at that starting now. If you haven't already been working on it for however many years you've been on this planet, you must start now. My expectation for children and teens is that they want the same things out of life as everybody else. They want those relationships, they want jobs, they want nice places to live, comfortable clothes to wear, they want to do the things that other people are doing, go to concerts, go to ball games, go to the movies. They want to have fun. They want to participate in life. They want to be a part of life. And I think we have to ask the kids that we're working with questions all the time about what is it that you're thinking about? What is it that you're planning? How is what you're working on now going to connect to what you want to be doing next year, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? How is what you're learning in school going to help you in the career that you want in the future? How is what you are learning at home helping you prepare for life beyond home? Are you learning the things that you need? If not, what are those things that you need so that we can figure out a way for you to learn it now rather than have to wait until you come out of school? We need to give those messages to kids and to families, that there's an expectation that blind and low vision children will grow up, get jobs, have families, make contributions to the larger community. And that's an important message that I think we share from the beginning of kids' lives. The language that we use sets the stage for how people perceive what we're doing. So instead of coming in and saying, well, I'm going to do therapy and we're going to make this one skill set better, or whatever the case may be, what I want to think of service providers as doing is saying, the reason that we're learning this skill is so that your child will be able to live independently, or use money independently, or keep up with his wages independently. I want parents and service providers to be thinking that there is a future, and that that future includes work and work-related activities, meaningful activities that their child is going to be able to perform. But it's all about connecting those dots. We don't do these things arbitrarily or with no reason. We do this kind of skill development so that we can grow up and live happily ever after. As service providers, you need to help parents understand why what they're teaching at home is important to the next environment. When you're working with kids as service providers, you need to be able to say to children and youth, the reason that we're working on this skill is so that you will be able to do fill in the blank. It may be walk independently to the bus stop. It may be so that you'll be able to read the price tags in the store where you want to work. It can be any number of things, but you ought to be able to say the why it is you're teaching the skill. And I think as service providers, we have to remember, children learn and families learn from us very quickly if we are just focused on one little skill set or one little area versus if we're putting it all together into the big picture.
I love asking that question, what do you want to do when you grow up? And one of the things that I always find heartbreaking when I'm working with kids and families is if I hear that they've they've said, maybe age 5, 6, 7, I want to be an astronaut, I want to be a pilot, I want to be a train driver, I want to be a firefighter, and some helpful person has said to them, oh, you can't do that because you're blind. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a message that I'm always sharing with families, that we, to the best of our ability, we don't ever say, no, you can't do that job.
Yeah, and I do think that happens more frequently than we want it to happen. What I do know is that if I tell a child, no, you can't do that, let go of that dream, I'm circumventing that child from thinking further in that area where he or she has expressed interest. And that is a mistake. I think the better technique is to say, that's an interesting idea. You're not quite sure, but you don't say that. You just say, that's an interesting idea. Let's look together at whether or not that would be a really good outcome for you. Let's do some research into this. Let's investigate it. What I suggest is you do something called discrepancy analysis, which is a really fancy way of saying compare. Write down on paper or virtually what the child's interests, abilities, values, liabilities, and work personality are. What does that child really look like on paper? Interests, abilities, values, liabilities, what are the barriers, and what is the work personality? And then I'm going to say, and let's look at this job that this young person has been talking about, that they're interested in. If it's the young person, I'm going to say to that young person, I need you to write down on paper what it takes to be a firefighter. What are the interests? What are the skills? What are the values that other people have who are working as firefighters? What kind of liabilities have they been able to overcome? And what is the work personality? What are those 5 components of firefighter? And then we're going to compare the two, and we're going to see where you are similar and where you are different. Because you can see very quickly, as you put it on paper, if you have more differences or you have more similarities. But more importantly, you can see when you look at those differences or discrepancies, what you can do about them. You can start thinking about it. And if I decide as a child myself that I can't do that because I can't see well enough, that's very different than if you tell me I can't do it. If I can discover on my own that the differences can't be overcome, instead of just saying, oops, let go of it, I can say, well, now hang on. What was it about this job that I liked? What was it that I was good at doing that matched up? What about my values matched up to that? What were the things about me that did match up? And are there some other kinds of jobs, related jobs maybe, that are more like me than that one that I had in my head to begin with? And so you can send young people in particular down new roads, new avenues where they can look at related jobs and related activities, meaningful activities that they might participate in and use leverage for work in the future, instead of letting go of the whole thing.
I think that's such a strong message that we're sending to families. If we're in their home and we're having those conversations with their kids, it's a strategy in a way of coaching parents to start putting that as a focus of what they might want to be talking about, and that we think that their child is going to grow up and work. If we believe that, it'll come through in how we're communicating and what we're saying and how we're saying it.
Yeah, and parents don't have to be afraid of the future, right?
Yeah.
They can actually talk about it in a way where it's hopeful and
Yeah.
Vision Australia.
Blindness,
Low vision.
Opportunity.